Well, after our first look a couple of days ago, it is time to begin a brand new weekly series on this channel. Today, we are turning our attention to a brand new management career game, and we are going to have a go at a Cricket 26 management career. We're going to try and work our way up, starting in county cricket, get ourselves through the big franchise, and ultimately to be the England manager at some point and be able to pick the players, the team, the tactics that can maybe win an Ashes series down the line. That's all a long way off though, because today we start in the county that I moved to around a year ago. We're heading off to a place that's been in trouble on the cricket side of things for a while now. We're going to Yorkshire County Cricket Club and we're going to try our hand at management career in Cricket 26. Yes, hello and welcome along to part one of this management career from Cricket 26, starting with Yorkshire County Cricket Club. Of course, a bit different to our traditional football manager saves, where ultimately this isn't going to be a one club story. And to be fair, the pinnacles are a little bit different. International management out for FM26, but here over on Cricket 26, it's all about the pinnacle of managing your nation. That's what we're going to go for in manager career mode, but we start at the humble beginnings of Yorkshire County Cricket Club, because bizarrely, unlike in the player career mode in previous editions and this current one, you can't start at club level, which would be great to see in future editions of the game. If you're looking forward to it, then please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Today we're going to have a bit of an in-depth look at the squad we've got available, at the players that are coming through, and what we're going to do with training and other features like that. It's going to be a little bit different to the first look we did a few days ago, where rather weirdly, I also picked Yorkshire, but we're not going to focus on the match today. We're not going to focus on looking at all of the features. This is going to be all about doing the best with Yorkshire. As I mentioned as well when we were doing that about this career mode series, we are going to intersperse with Twitch live streams during the week. So I've got a couple of weekday mornings in the UK, weekday evenings in Australia, where I'm not in the working office. So on those occasions, we'll try and get at least one stream in a week. And then we'll come back here every Saturday morning at 11:30 and we'll review exactly what's been going on and maybe get through one or two matches ourselves. But today is all about the first introductions at Yorkshire. It's all about seeing what we've got to work with and what we can possibly produce with this wonderful county cricket club. Let's go and have a look at the inbox messages, where so far, absolutely nothing to report apart from welcome to Yorkshire. We look forward to seeing what the future brings. The Northern Cup is the feeder league, as we remember from the first look. When you're at county level, you're looking at club cricket to try and bring people through. Our first task, though, as we reach the 24th of March, is to select our first class squad for the county championship, which we'll do in a minute. I want to talk you through a few of the other things as well, because what we're going to look at today, in addition to the lineup, is training and also a little bit of scouting too, before we start focusing on the match stuff in the future. But the reason we picked Yorkshire, apart from moving to the area a year ago, is there are obviously some very big names. And I'm intrigued to see, as this management career progresses, how many we can then manage with England later down the line, should we make it, or at various franchises. But also, what happens when there are international calendars? Do we have players going away and having to deal with that in the squad? Are we going to be calling people up from youth teams, from club cricket? I'm just intrigued to see how it all works. So we're going to go firstly and deal with this squad for county cricket and see how we get on for the 4-day games, because we've already got 14 in the squad. Now, the one complaint I mentioned the other day is, particularly when you're playing on with a controller, it's very hard to see where you are in the menus. With the mouse, I think you can sort by certain things like this, but even then, no, doesn't really work quite so easily. Sorting the players in the menu screen is the hardest bit, because you can't see which of the tabs you're on. Now, thankfully for us, it is initially started in overall ability. But one of the things we mentioned last time is we've got to keep half an eye on potential, because while it is partly about results now with Yorkshire County Cricket Club, and we want to impress and go to the next level, I always like to develop talent. It's the favourite thing to do in FM26 and other management games as well. So why not try and do it here? If we have a look at the players that are in and out of the squad at the moment, you can see which players are in because they're not greyed out and they're already highlighted with the option to remove them. And Jordan Thompson is the weakest of them at the minute, with 29 years of age and not much potential. We've also got to be wary, though, of the rules for overseas players, because we got that about not having more than two. Donovan Ferreira is South African. He's got big potential. There were a couple of others. So the Sri Lankan Farman, who's pretty good. Rashid's in there, but he wouldn't play in the longer forms of the game normally. So that's a little bit odd. Masood is a Pakistani opener who's the best at the club by a long way. Obviously, Harry Brook's in there. Joe Root's in there. I'm interested to see what this squad will look like when we've not got some of those international players, presuming that will be the case. The morale is a very important part of it. The form is going to be interesting to keep an eye on as well, just to see how that impacts the decisions. Of course, conditioning, injuries have been promised in this game. That could make things a bit chaotic. We've got to keep an eye on the bowling as well. I mentioned it last time. Joe Root being a left-arm bowler is a concern for me from a statistical point of view for one of the most well-known players in the world. But the one player I'm looking at potentially taking out is Thompson. I think we need to strengthen the batting in the squad because we're going to lose primarily batters when we have international games, particularly Root and Harry Brook, possibly Bairstow at times as well. And then maybe we need to add a little more to it because a few of you were asking about other players and some of them are a bit further down there. There's a lot of players from other nations who, of course, are in here partly for the shorter forms of the game, but also have other abilities. And Josh Little, the Irishman, is one that I'd probably quite like to get in instead if possible. But let's go down and see if we can get a couple of youngsters in as well because there are a couple of English youngsters who are pretty good. Gavin Hodges being one of them. He's only 25 and he's got potential to grow into. I'm just trying to look for the other Englishmen as well. Don Bess is one we looked at before, now 28. Maybe shouldn't go for him. Chauhan obviously featured a little bit, but again, not the biggest potential in the world. And then you've got other youngsters. So the likes of Humphreys, Matthew Humphreys here, only in 6% condition. He's got an injury at the minute. We can't put him in, but someone in the future we definitely like to have involved in our batting lineup. We've also got to think about, do we want a backup wicket keeper? If so, what sort of one are we going for? There's a youngster there who's not particularly terrible if we go and get his skills up with the bat either. And someone that maybe we want to involve in a squad. We know Bairstow's good enough to be an outright batter if need be. So there are lots of options here, and we're going to have to work out as we go along what the best balance and approach is in this situation and how we're going to deal with some of the other side of things when it comes to managing fatigue and international players. But you can see a pretty good batsman as well. I'm actually going to promote him as a young wicket keeper. We've got to have 16 in the squad. We remember that from last time. But there's not many here with massive potential that are English and that won't be one of the overseas players in the squad. There are a few that obviously have featured in real life in recent times, but I don't know that I want to go mad with them straight away. So I don't think we're going to go down into the 50s for overall ability now, but you can see how quickly that may happen when we have players called up for international honours. So Hamish Dickey has been brought in now. I'm probably going to do the same with Hodges as well. Now, I just want to see if we can get one more overseas in because it's not very clearly stated which players qualify, which players don't, which come under other rules as well. So, for example, if we were to put, say, Joshua Little in, so we added to our bowling attack as well as our batting one, do I want to sign him for the season? Signing for the season will add them to any club squads that have not yet been finalised and currently have fewer than 2 overseas players, but we don't, so we can't add him to that unless we take out someone who's currently better. I mean, I would probably rather have him than one or two of the others. So Farman again, not got any further potential. He's 34 now. He's declining in terms of form. Of the two, I'd probably rather have Joshua Little, but who's going to get called on international duty? I'm going to drop Farman out and we'll go for Little instead. Jason Sangha is an interesting one that would be tempting as well. I think we're going to go for out-and-out bowling quality here. Let's sign him for the season and get him involved. And then we're just looking for one more, really, to beef out the squad. And we've got Jordan Thompson, who could come back in, but I've just replaced him. Though he has got a batting all-rounder. What's he better at? Says he's a bowling all-rounder, but it might give us an extra option. I just don't know if he's good enough with the bat. So maybe we want to focus on someone who is going to be a better batsman for the club. But there's not many good youngsters about, are there? I wish you could... can you just sort by sort of... No. You can't sort by batting ability or just filter out batsmen, bowlers. Those little things that would be really helpful from a menu point of view. I think the only other options we've got are Don Bess as a bowling all-rounder who can be a spinner too. Todd as another wicket keeper, which is not what we want. There are not many batting options there that have got big potential. Jesse Woodard may be one of the better ones. Top order batsman. Let's add him. I'm going to go for a little bit of youth in there as well, even though that might be the wrong decision. Let's confirm the squad for the season, and we'll advance to the next event via the training and the scout list. So we can keep an eye on a couple of players. We can also set training up. So we've got 3 training plans, some for the batsmen, some for the bowlers, and for the wicket keepers. I've actually ended up with 3 wicket keepers in the squad. Todd, I'm not sure that he was supposed to be in there. Maybe he signed up for one of the other forms of the game. So if we have a look at the bowling one, you've got individual plans for each of the units. So one for the bowling unit, one for the batting unit. We probably need to incorporate a little bit more rest in. You can see the predominant part of the midweek is bowling training, recovery after the match. General strength drills is fine because you want to beef them up, and the same for speed too. And fielding training's featured in there as well. Do I maybe want to focus on them maybe having a little go with the bat? Because I know they're bowlers, but you probably still want them to bat a little bit, wouldn't you? Maybe that's something we have to consider as well. We'll adjust that as we go along. And in training plan for the batsman, you can see again a lot of batting training, not as much in terms of recovery there, which makes sense. One less rest session over the week. And a lot of it focused on batting shots, batting training, judgment, and then general speed between the wickets as well. So again, a pretty balanced setup for now. It's interesting to see by comparison how the wicket keepers work. They don't really have any recovery sessions, which I find a little bit odd. They've just got the one on the Monday morning, which is supposed to be after the match. But then they've got more rest sessions than even the bowlers, which I don't think makes any sense at all. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to put some batting training in, because I do want my wicket keepers to be decent batsmen. I'm going to need that. So I'm going to work on batting shots there. I'm going to work on batting training there. And then they've got a fairly gentle end to the week. So that makes me feel a bit less guilty about it. And I think we're happy with that. So let's now go back to the start. We're going to have a look at the scout list as well. Now, the reason for this, sorry, not the scout list initially, the club roster. So these are the people that are signed up to the books for any tournament at the moment, which you can see we've got a fair few of there, including a couple of surprise names. Don't know what tournaments they're signed up for yet. We can demote a few people from here. So one of them would be Mickey Edwards there, who we just saw. I would probably be willing to demote him because he's weaker than most of the rest. There's a couple of youngsters though, like there's a 19-year-old Alex Jameson, who maybe we'd want to promote for a couple of county matches, but hasn't really got the massive potential here either. And Mickey Edwards, I probably would demote because I don't think he's good enough to be involved. It's a tail ender and a bowler where we've got an abundance of quality. He'll be sent to one of your affiliate clubs immediately and may choose to move elsewhere in the future. That's absolutely fine, and confirms that there will be transfers in here within the club as well. We'll sort out our lineup for the future episode when we get into our first matches. But I just wanted to show you that you've got your 16-person squad. You can pick your 12th man, you can pick your 11, and exactly the same as if you're given the rights to the captaincy and player career previously. You can choose the captain, the wicket keeper, and the opening bowlers too. So there's not really, and we mentioned it in the initial look, there's not that many differences between your match responsibilities to what you would have had as a captain in any of the previous cricket games. But certainly in terms of the general makeup of the squad, how training's managed, how players are looked after, that's seen behind the scenes, you're doing an awful lot more management. So one of the things we might want to go and look at then is which players we can scout for the future, which players we're going to look at and maybe consider promoting later down the line. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. The affiliated players, they're the ones we want to keep an eye on. Is there anyone who we're going to maybe just keep a scouting eye on, maybe look at promoting in the future? Who's got the bigger potential? They can be the big things as well. So if you sort them in order of ability and potential, and people that aren't in your squad, are there any that are missing out that are maybe superstars of the future? Are there any that are going to improve that you want to keep an eye on? So someone like Jaffa Chauhan might be one for that for us, who we're going to scout. We're going to get noteworthy performances sent to us. And we'll probably do the same for Don Bess as well, who during the season, if we lose people due to internationals, we might want to do too. So he's going to be another player that we add to the scout list. And again, get messages about noteworthy performances, especially now we know there's a risk that we lose these players if we don't get them involved at some point. Fisher will be the same, but it's very bowler heavy, this, isn't it? And it doesn't look like there's a lot of transfers other than domestic clubs and county. And Emmanuel Christensen, 19-year-old batsman, he's got a lot of potential and may well come in when the likes of Root and Brook are away. So again, someone we're going to look at. And actually for him, I'll keep an eye on all the performances just to see what he's averaging during the year. And again, There's so many like that. Rowan Birch is another young batsman at 18 years of age that we probably want to keep an eye on. And it's a good way for us to keep up to date with some of these youngsters, see how they're developing and whether or not they're going to reach their potential in the future. One more there, which we'll do, and that'll be our scouting list for now. So that's sort of the background setup we wanted to do. My idea was to go for a pretty strong team this year until we knew what was going to happen, whether people like Root and Brook would just be pulled away for international fixtures all the time, whether the club and the international calendar will intertwine in manager career mode. You'd have to hope that it would. And whether they'll become unavailable, because there is a big section, as you can see at the top right, for unavailable players. You'd assume that would include international call-ups, injuries, etc. And then is it a chance for us to scout some of the youngsters and promote them for future years if they do well? We keep an eye on form, we keep an eye on morale, and at the moment, it's all looking pretty good. So we're going to skip to the first day just to make sure that there's no further messages, which I don't think there were from last time. But the last thing we're going to do in this stream is we're going to select our first lineup for Yorkshire. Then the next one will be us playing matches and reviewing our results. Let's have a look at who we can put out. I don't really want to play Rashid because he wouldn't normally play in these sort of longer forms of the game. I do want to get Little involved. He's a bowler who I think is going to be a superstar. And I'll probably bring him in for either Milnes or for Carroll, who are a little bit older. We could also choose to go a bit stronger on the bowling side and drop a batsman because Bairstow's down at 8 at the minute. They've thrown another one in. Don't think we need Woodard in that lineup. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to put Life with Masood in the openers. Root will stay at 4, but Milan will go up to 3. Although it does say middle order for long forms of the game. Brook middle order, Root top order. Should we play Root at 3 then? I know we'll get a lot of stick for that. We'll put Brook and Milan in at 4 and 5. We'll put Bairstow in at 6, sorry. Randall will come in at 7. Who's better out of Bairstow and Randall with the bat? That's probably going to be the other question. The one complaint I do have about this game, the menus are so slow. And batting technique 78 is one worse. He's a bit more controlled and a bit less physical. So yeah, Bairstow higher up the order, I think. And then what are these 4 like at the bottom? Because we've basically got 4 no-hopers, haven't we? We have got the option to change the spinner if we want. We've got Dan Moriarty in there. He's the slow left armour for now. Lots of control, good delivery, and we're going to need him. We're going to need him to be good this year. I'm just going to go for specialists in this match and only the one all-rounder. And I think Palm Milne switching with Moriarty, we've got them in order of their ability with the bat. I think for our 12th man, we need the best fielder, don't we? And out of those, I know it's Rashid officially, but I think we might go for one of the all-rounders just for now. And I think Ferreira's probably the best of them at the minute. Best physically as well. And the happiest, which maybe we have to consider too. So he'll be the 12th man for this one. We've got the wicket-keeper, Bairstow. The opening bowlers, what do they like to do? What are their preferred? Bowling type, new ball is Milnes. So he's definitely taking a new ball. Moriarty's a strike bowler. Little's a strike bowler. Do we open with Little, just go for a bit of fun, or do we go for the left-hand, right-hand combo? As Carroll's a bit more of a metronomic mid-innings one. Power play bowler for Randall. That's great in a short form, but it's not for this type of the game. I'm going to go for the longer form, the county championship. We'll have Moriarty, left and right-handers. So Milnes first, Moriarty second, and then Little can come in a bit later. That is going to be our first lineup for the county championship against Hampshire. And that is our first episode with Yorkshire County Cricket Club. Probably the only one that we're not going to be looking at big messages and big reviewing of results. We go to our inbox now. You can say that we have finalised our squad for the upcoming County Cup. Joe Root is arguably the best selected and fans of Yorkshire will hope that he can lead them to success. Josh Little is the most informed player selected. We'll be looking to continue his rich reign of form. Overseas players are... Oh, it hasn't even said for us who it's going to be, but we know that we've got a couple in there. The one thing I didn't do actually when I picked that lineup is I didn't look at the fitness at all. Bairstow and Brook not quite in full condition, and neither's Ferreira as the 12th, but you'd imagine 95% is not so bad, is it? That's where we're going to leave it for now, though. The plan is that we're going to do live streams on Twitch at least once a week where possible. Try and get through a few matches. We are going to be simulating for the most part because we don't want to take part. We don't want to be playing for 3 days. We want to see how the players do without us managing to fail to score runs with them. We are going to go through the calendar in each Saturday episode, review the results, see what went right and wrong. Obviously, do updates from our scouting, see which players are unavailable as international matches come along, which, to be fair, on the highlights for the calendar at the minute, there's not an awful lot of mention of what happens there. There's a lot about the T20 and the tournaments and that, but there's no mention of when England fixtures are. So I'm really intrigued to see how they pan out and how they fit into all of this. If you're looking forward to seeing it as well, and whether this manager career will be a success or whether we'll get bored of it after it not working in a few weeks, and please do chuck a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. Every Saturday morning UK time, we will have a new episode from this series, reviewing results, checking through all the stuff behind the scenes, and getting involved in a couple of matches too. We'll also be streaming the bits in between on Twitch, where we'll get through a couple of months and just have a bit of a chat there about football and cricket during the Ashes, of course, which kick off, well, tomorrow as I'm recording this, yesterday by the time this one comes out. I hope you're enjoying Cricket 26. I hope you're finding it plenty of fun. We're going to do a playing career over on Twitch next summer as well, so come and get involved with that. But for now, if you've missed any of our FM26 stuff and you want to see other management games, that is up in the eye above with loads of links, loads of guides and stories too. But thank you very much for watching my opener, my first part of the series and the first ever management career series we've done, beginning with Yorkshire County Cricket Club as we try to make it to the top and hopefully win an Ashes with England. I'll see you next time as we start the journey.